All right, here we are once back again for another e-commerce weekly. So you guys should be hearing me. You should see a little black icon there, and we'll be starting here momentarily. So go ahead and pop in the chat that you can hear everything. Don't worry, we will be sharing our screen here in just a moment. We're not going to be using our camera this time because apparently last time some folks said there was some jitteriness or something like that too with the stream. So we want to make sure that we have a really clear one. So we've got a really full presentation here for you. So we want to make sure that that happens. So go ahead and pop in the chat that you can hear me okay, that everything's good. And we'll get started here in just a moment as people start rolling. There's about a 30-second delay, somewhere thereabouts, before you guys hear me from the time I talk. Maybe upwards of a minute and so forth. And that way we know what's going on as well too. So go ahead and let us know that you can hear us okay. And that means you guys also in support that you can hear us. Okay, great. That you can hear us as well too. We're going to get started here momentarily. So that's a good thing too. All right. So welcome everyone. This is another edition of E-commerce Weekly, formerly known as Training Tuesdays. And so this week, once again, we're going to do another edition on eBay. And some tips and tricks on selling on eBay. Some of it's for retail arbitrage, and some of it, when I say retail arbitrage, it's for real world arbitrage. So not necessarily online. Some of it is. Some of it's online, where you're sourcing it online, you're selling it online. Some of it's in the real world, maybe, where you're finding stuff at a store, in your garage, at a clearance, at an auction, whatever the case may be. So that way you know as well also. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen right here if I can do that. Let's see if we can turn on screen sharing, and we'll choose this. And let's see here, and choose that. And hopefully you guys can see me okay. The one challenge is that with our program, with this software that we use, as soon as I share my screen, it doesn't allow me to see the comments. Kind of crazy. So I don't have anywhere. All I'm doing is I'm looking at a Word document. So you guys on support, if you can, I know that kind of sounds crazy, but if you could text me or Vox me that you can hear me okay, that would be great, because I can't see the control panel. So before I kind of start rolling down all this kind of great info, I need to know that you guys are okay with hearing me and seeing the screen, more importantly. But I shouldn't say more importantly, but that's it as well. So you guys in support, if you can Vox me, that would be great. That you can see the screen in full, so I can start going, because I can't go forward until I know that we are good to go. So can you see my screen? They got to improve on that on this software, seriously. Drives us crazy as soon as we switch over. Otherwise, I got to use multiple computers here to do that. Okay, good. So they let us know they're finally. All right, good to go. Is it full screen? Hardest part starting, guys. Once you get rolling here, that's good. Okay, good. All right, so just know this, that each week when we do an e-commerce weekly, that the previous week typically doesn't have anything to do with the current week, and the current week has nothing to do with the following week. However, in this case, we're doing a series, it's about 5 sections or so, on different tips on selling on eBay. Now, predominantly, this will be, for the most part, if you were selling the stuff yourself, that you sourced it, it was your own stuff in the real world, not necessarily retail arbitrage, where you're just finding stuff and then turn around listing it. But some of the tips are applicable to both or all the above, right? So if you have missed the previous sections, 1, 2, or 3, that's okay. Don't worry about it. Go ahead after this and listen to the previous e-commerce weeklies They're in the archive, and you can listen to those on your own time as well, and take lots of notes as well. Now, you do want to take notes because some of the tips and ideas that I give you, you can store in your virtual resource area, right? Online on Google Drive, wherever you source that, or keep that as well too. So let's move on to number 46. And so essentially what that is how should you promote your eBay listings? Well, one of the things is you should definitely use Facebook. You can use it both as paid and paid traffic and so forth. And you can also use it by forming groups or pages as well. In this case, let's talk about the free version. That's using groups or pages. So a page essentially is kind of like, this is your storefront, or this is your company, or this is your personal page or something. So it's about you or your products or services, right? When it's a group, it's about a topic, about a niche, whatever, a sport, a hobby, etc., that a number of people are contributing to. Typically a page, you're typically the only one in your team that's contributing to the content. A group is where collectively you've invited perhaps some additional people to post some content as well. Once you get some good following, then you can start put intermittently some stuff about your stuff, or affiliate links about things that are related that you sell or want to sell, or that are related to your products or stores, if you have that as well. So to give you an example, right here in Las Vegas, I'm a big hockey guy. We have a professional hockey team called the Vegas Golden Knights. I've started a group, and currently at the time of this recording, there's over 4,500 members in that group. And I have invited, some have asked if they could be administrators as well. And so they can post content, they can monitor other people's content as well. So people are going there as hockey fans and fans of this pro team. And as a result of that, if there is jerseys, merchandise, anything related to that team, then I can seek out companies that have the product, and I can get an affiliate link or a joint venture partner link or something. And so whenever somebody in the group clicks on my links, I get paid automatically. And so you can start creating groups that people love to be a part of. People love to be a part of something, clubs and groups and so forth. So that's a really good free way that you can build that up over time as well. Now you can turbocharge it by buying Facebook ads and listings and so forth, but let's talk about that on another day. We have some of our coaches that teach that as well in our high-end program. By the way, if you haven't joined our high-end program, you definitely should, so you can learn those things much faster one-on-one. All right, next, number 47 is, when you're listing, you want to be professional, right? People judge the look and feel of everything. So what you can do is go to Fiverr, fiverr.com, Fiverr.com, and search for eBay store designs. And so you'll find a number of people who can design eBay stores and make them look really, really professional. And so that way you create a brand, create a logo and so forth, that across all your listings, across all your stores that are similar, you're using the same look and feel and color and logo and everything else as well. Now, what you can do also is that we have virtual assistants also. If you want some recommendations on people that can do that for you, we have virtual assistants that can do that. To reach out and find out a little bit about pricing and everything else, just send us a support ticket at support@completemarketingsystems.biz, support@completemarketingsystems.biz, and we can hook you up with some of our assistants that can do that and get you some of the pricing on that as well. Also, it's well worth it, because I've seen so many stores that people have on eBay, and you go to it and it just has a generic blah title, or there's no photo, there's no image, or it's one of eBay's templates, and it looks terrible. It looks absolutely unprofessional. So people now are used to buying a lot online, right? So first thing they look at is they look at and they perceive who you are professionally, and that can cost you a lot of sales as well. So make sure that you get that done also. Number 48, communicate a lot with your buyers. When an auction ends, what you want to let them do is you want to let them, what I call, see behind the red curtain, see behind the curtain, what's going on, right? So you want to send them an email as soon as possible, congratulating them on a wise decision, on the purchase. eBay automatically does that, but it's good if you do that as well. Now, another thing is when you buy the postage through eBay, which is usually cheaper, then eBay takes that tracking number and sends it to them automatically. If you buy the postage outside of eBay, then you want to send them a follow-up email with the tracking number and so forth. And within that, your communication with them, you always want to communicate the item number and description. The reason is that people buy a lot of things online, or they bought it weeks ago and they forget about it. And I've gotten stuff back from people that says, here's your return packing slip, or here's your return shipping label. I'm like, who are you? What's this for? They don't even reference what it's for. So always reference what it's for, right? When you're communicating one. This is about, the XYZ widget that you bought on eBay, item number, blah, blah, blah. So that way they go, oh yeah, that's right, I forgot about that, right? So they can, it reminds them, makes it real easy as well too. Number 49, be careful about using a reserve price auction. A reserve means basically a hidden price of the minimal amount that you'll sell it for. Nobody really likes that. They really like, okay, am I wasting my money? That means typically in their mind, if you have a reserve price that's really higher, so why should I even bid? Maybe I'll overbid and it's lower. I could have got a better deal on it as well. So unless it's something that's very valuable, something that you want to keep private with your bidders as well, I wouldn't not necessarily use a reserve price auction, right? So that's up to you when and how you want to use it, but I would not, if rarely, ever use a reserve price auction, RPA. Number 50, increase bids by making your auctions readable. So if you want to make more money, you want to make it marketing. At our live events, I show and I teach that as well. You want to not bunch all your wording together. So for example, on this page, you can see I always leave spaces. I leave 1, 2, maximum 3 lines together, maximum 3 lines, usually 1 or 2. I'll use bold, I'll use italics, I'll use different colors. Like look at here, the headlines, they're a different color, for example. You want to use, images as much as possible, borders, all kinds of things that really, really make it easy to skim, right? Because people are, they're spending a lot of time online, they skim. So you want to make sure that certain things pop out. Again, use bullet points with arrows or check marks or something like that too. Boldface, you want to boldface or bold type important words and phrases. Use questions, use guarantees. I shouldn't put in the word promise, not really a promise, but maybe it might be a promise that, we promise to give you great service or money back guarantee or whatever it is as well too, right? So make it more like, don't make it boring. Just don't make it boring. Make it fun. Maybe make a little story attached to it. If you've used it as well, but you've thought about the product and so forth, right? So make it really user-friendly, personable, you might say as well, okay? Hopefully that makes sense. Now, some people say don't. Probably I don't like to use pay for extra, like a bolder title or a subtitle and so forth. It can cost you money, and it doesn't necessarily mean that it will convert as well. If you have something that is a higher price and you have a larger profit margin on it, then that might be okay. But for the most part, bold and subtitles is just an extra way for eBay to make money that you may not necessarily need. For the most part, I would not use it for the most part as well. Number 52, one of the things you do want to use is a hit counter, So when you go to use eBay's templates and you want to submit it, some of the secondary marketplace software that's out there that we've recommended in the past, they do have the ability for you to connect a counter to it. And a counter means how many people have looked at your auction, how many people have visited that page, that listing, okay? And what I like to do also when I am using that, I make it a silent one. I make it an invisible one. I don't want people to see how many people have visited my listing, because what if it's low? What if only it's 2 people? Then they look, oh wow, nobody's visited here. It must not be that good. It must be not that popular. There's something wrong. Why should I? Okay, let me move on to the next one. Why should I bid on this? I'm not going to buy this. It's no good, right? You only want to use an auction and show it if there's, you've got thousands of people visiting. But remember that the first 2 guys or something that are visiting, they might think, oh, wow, there's nobody visiting this thing, right? But it just went live maybe moments ago. So for the most part, use an auction counter, but use it in the hidden format that only you can see, that the people visiting as well, right? And so there's a reason that you want to do that. And we're going to get to that in just a little bit. If you think about this, it's showing you how many people are visiting this, right? So if you have an auction that a lot of people are visiting, but you're not selling a lot of stuff, that's basically telling you that either there's something wrong with your listing, it's priced too high, too low, doesn't look right. There's something that, or some things, more than one thing perhaps, that's not helping it convert. It does not have everything that you need to make the buyer confident in paying for it, hitting that buy button, right? So if you, on the other hand, if you have low visitors on the site, on the listing, then that's basically saying there's not a lot of demand for that product. Not a lot of people are interested or searching for that product. You might want to consider searching something else or really lower your price just to blow it out, right? So those are some of the things, and we'll get into that a little bit later on too, okay? Number 53, a lot of people don't know about this. Use regional listing as well, right? All right, so within the auction itself, when you go to list it, there's an option that you can check off that it's also a regional listing. So basically, some people prefer to buy locally. So for example, if something's really large, you're selling an engine, you're selling, a lawnmower or something like that. Well, then if you're selling it regionally, locally, that means that you can sell it for pickup as well, almost like Craigslist, right? So you always want to check that off. There's no extra cost for that. And the cool part is it doesn't have to be something that's heavy. It could be just, you're selling that microphone or whatever too, that can be shipped, right? But people also like it where they might search locally and they might say, you know what, I just want it right now. I want to drive over there and get it. I want to wait for it as well. So they might search for your town too, or your city. So make sure that you use regional listing also. A lot of people don't know about that or use that as well. Number 54, what is that? Use second chance offers. Now, what are second chance offers? Well, so let's say, for example, that the first buyer or bidder bids on it, wins it, and then disappears. That happens all the time. People get buyer's remorse. They never think they're going to win. They go, oops, I wasn't that serious. I was just playing around. Now all of a sudden, it's a legal and binding contract. They are liable to pay for it. They really do. But the challenge is that eBay doesn't enforce it enough. So as a result of that, they get off the hook. They might get a little warning, or statistically it shows up how many that they flaked on. But for the most part, eBay, gives them a minor slap on the wrist. Oh, and they'll come up with everything. Oh, I pushed the button by mistake. Yeah, sure you did, right? All those kind of things. So what it does then is this: let's say you have a second person that made an offer as well, made a bid as well, but they didn't win. But that bid was still profitable for you, still profitable, right? That you can still make money on. Then you can offer it to that second person to buy it. Say, hey, you know what? Congratulations, we have another one in stock, or the first guy fell through. You can get it for the price that you offered. Let me grab some water here too. 1 second. Note this, that the person that's making that second offer for you, they have no obligation to buy it. They have no obligation to buy it all whatsoever. So know that as well also, okay? Number 55. We'll go into this one real quick today too. So I can't see your questions. I will get to them here in just a moment. I'm sure we have quite a few and everything else, but we'll get to it here momentarily as soon as possible. All right, number 55. One of the things, unlike, so for example, Amazon, right? They don't allow you to know who their customers are. Through eBay, sometimes you're able to find out who the buyer is and their contact information, but you want to build a way into it that you can build their email list. So for example, in the invoice, in the packing slip, you can put it in there, congratulations on winning, blah, blah, blah. Please visit our website at and download your free ebook, download the top tips, download for our next top products. Give them some incentive, some reason to, and now you will build your mailing list of people who buy stuff. We have all the time that the guys, buy a bunch of our, tapes or CDs, or DVDs, whatever, and they'll come back and buy more again and again and again. They keep on looking at that, or it'll show them other things that are similar that they bought from the previous seller. The same seller has this available too for them as well. So you want to build your email list so that way you can market to them in the future for years to come, even outside of eBay, on your Shopify store or whatever that is, your e-commerce site, or on another platform that you're listing on as well too. So it's very important to build your email list for clients as well, but give them a reason for them to exchange their email in terms of what they're getting from you then as well, right? All right, next, relisting strategy, number 56. What if your auction fails? There's no bids, there's no hits, nothing. Well, you can still relist it and you may get an insertion fee credit. So in other words, you can relist it for free. Now there's a caveat on that, okay? There's a catch, all right? Before you relist it though, let me share with you what you need to do. You need to look at your product. You need to look at it and you need to say, okay, why didn't it sell? Let's have a look at the competition. Is there a lot out there? What is the competition selling for? Am I using a repricer or something? Is there a repricer that I can use with eBay, right? Is my VA on it, on adjusting the prices? Was it overpriced compared to the competition? Was it in the correct category, right? Was it in the correct category, right? How's my titles? My titles suck? My descriptions suck? Should I be using some other software to help us out? Use TerraPeakVIP.com. Support, if you guys want to pop that in, support. TerraPeakVIP.com. That's the best software for eBay that you can use. That's going to help you find the top title, the words to use in your titles that people are searching for right now, right? It's very, very important you do that, because maybe there is people out there that are looking for it, but they just never found your listing, right? Next, if you've done everything right, you've checked it out, maybe there's just no demand. If you're selling that automatic dill pickle slicer, well, maybe there's not a big demand for automatic dill pickle slicers, right? So you need to find out, is there a demand for it? Next, shipping costs. Excuse me. Shipping costs. Were your shipping costs much higher than your competitors? Maybe if you've got really hot product or something, or a bunch of them, you've sold in the past and all of a sudden it's not selling or something, you might want to research your competition. Look at their listings, see what they're doing in terms of shipping costs. Do they have a better return policy, right? Do they have a better guarantee? Is there something that they're doing that you were missing out on, right? So you've got to check that out as well. Now, when I say do you have to do it? Or do your VAs have to do it? You have to understand what happened. Why didn't it sell? This doesn't make sense. It's a great price. You have to go down the factors one by one. So you might create a checklist of things that you can go over, or your VA can go over, common sense of things to review of why it didn't sell. Did it look good? Are there enough photos, right? Are the photos good? Are the photos bad? Excuse me. You have to look at every single thing, right? All right. When you go to relist the item, you have to use the link in the My eBay or the closed listing page. And now you can get eligible for a relist credit for an advertising fee, basically, right? So here's the one catch. You only get the credit. You don't get charged for the listing fee, the insertion fee, unless you sell the item the second time. You understand that? So you only get the credit if you sell it the second time. So if you don't sell it the second time, you're paying now for 2 times listings. So most people don't know that. They think it's a free listing, free relisting, right? It's not. So it's a one-time shot deal. So you want to make sure that when you are relisting it, that you've adjusted your listing. Don't just hit the relist button, right? You want to check it out. How does it look? What's the pricing? Does it make sense? You maybe have another set of eyes look at it. Hey, what do you think? You know, you like the way it looks and feels. What about the price, everything else? You've done your homework before you relist it. Otherwise, you just wasted your time and now you pay double the amount. That was a nugget. Most people don't know about that as well too, okay? All right, so you don't want to pay 2 insertion fees, right? Okay, so we've gone over this here as well. Research properly before you relist it, all right? Number 57, do some split testing, do some experiments, try different things, right? Try something new. You know, before you throw some money into something, I always talk about this, test first. Try new products, new categories, new sources, new title listings, so forth. Try different things. And, you know, eBay, even though it's been around forever, it's still growing and changing all the time too. So you can be different than other people. You can have a listing that looks completely different than other folks as well. You can try different things. You can do different bundling. You can bundle what you're selling with something else that's complementary, that both these things sell, you know, a lot of. That when somebody buys this, they buy that. Why not bundle it together? That's what I mean about experimenting. Try something new, something different, something that separates you from the competition as well, right? But be careful that if you are buying stuff, right, inventory, that you start off small, you test it. Is there demand? How fast did it sell? What's the sell-through rate in the category and so forth, right? So before you're throwing money at something, make sure that you're watching how fast it sells, because that way, when you come up to the 4th quarter, you're really, really prepared and things do sell and move really fast. Next, choose a category. Excuse me. You want to use the most relevant matching words that show up at the top that make sense, that fit in that category. So if you're selling some sporting goods, you know, is there some there? You might say, okay, I'm selling tennis rackets. Okay, great. So are you in the right subcategory for tennis rackets, right? You know, are you in the most relevant one that will get you the most hits, right? Use software like Terapeak, terapeakvip.com, that will help you and tell you exactly, you know, which category, what time of day it sells best, which day of the week it sells best, and that way you can time your listing to end on those days as well. We've talked about that in some of the previous points also when you go to review them, or for those of you that already heard it as well, right? So very, very important that you can have all the things right and everything else. And some person might just go, oh, I'm looking at this category, boom, and they don't even see your stuff. And you've done everything right. You got to make sure that, you know, you're in the right section, right? I mean, think of it like a trade show. You know, they're going to a trade show, walking down an aisle. This is the area that has all that sporting goods of this amount. And you're over in another section where it's sporting apparel. And they didn't even look there. They didn't even go there. They didn't even know about you, right? So it's very, very important to do that correctly as well, too, all right? Also, if you do it wrong, like really wrong, eBay can move or even cancel your listing if it's in a wrong place. That's rare that they'll do that. But you know, you got to look after yourself and take care of that as well for the most part. So that way you're not wasting your time and money. All right, very, very important as well. Next, number 59. You can list in multiple categories. There's a feature that allows you to list in 2 categories. There's one thing though, it costs double. It costs double, okay? And if there's any upgrades that you paid for or wanted, like, you know, bold title, an extra subtitle, fancy frames, which I don't recommend, by the way, as well. You know, you want to get third-party ones. Now that will charge you double for all those additional, you know, foo-foo things, all those additional, you know, upgrades as well. You're going to pay double for that, right? You doubled your bet. So you got to think, do I really want to do that? Or do I just want to be in the one thing that most people are looking on, right? So you got to make sure that it makes sense. Most of the time, I would not recommend that. Keep the one category for the most part. Make sure all your keywords are correct and you're listed in the best possible category, right? By using software like Terapeak that can help you and say, this is the category that you must and should list in as well, all right? The final one for today Believe me, we've got more. We've got about 1 week's worth more of stuff. Next week we'll do part 5 as well. So again, if you haven't seen the first 3, you might want to go back in the archives and look at them as well. So number 60, let's get to that. Number 60, 60 points. That's a lot, right? It's a lot. There's a lot of nuggets on here that you guys can use right away. And make sure that your VAs know this stuff. They can watch this training as well too. Let them, the more educated, the more knowledgeable that your team is, right? The more you sell, the more money you're going to make as well. Excuse me. So number 60, use good photos and images in your auctions. Now, some people use their phone. That's okay. Phones are very good, but is the lighting right as well, right? So some people buy cameras. If you're serious and you're doing this full time, or you got a lot of listings as well, and it is not retail arbitrage we're talking about, right? You can turn around and invest in a decent camera also, right? What you can do also is go to the manufacturer and see if you can use their photos on their website and so forth. They usually have the best photos and very professional, and that'll make it very easy overall as well. If you are shooting, again, use a white background. You can use software, we've talked about in the past, like, Background Burner, which is on Bonanza. You can Google Background Burner, and that will help you get a white background, or you can use PhotoFuse, photofuse.com. That's FOTOFUZE.com. That's FOTOFUZE.com. That'll put a white background in for you as well. You don't have to go super large because eBay will shrink it down anyways. So you want to go to the 1 to 2 megabyte range. If you are starting to go into 10 megabyte range and so forth, it doesn't make sense because you're using a lot of bandwidth to upload and download and so forth. So that takes a while and it doesn't make sense. eBay doesn't necessarily like that. They will shrink it down. So it may not look as good when it's shrunk down as well. So if you use the 1 to 2 megabyte file, it'll work perfectly fine. Just make sure that you're photographing from all angles, even stupid parts, things that you don't think make sense, underneath, behind, the picture of the foot of the table, the pictures of the screws, the pictures of where the holes go in for the mounting brackets, the picture of the edge of the glass, whatever it is. People want to see everything. The more photos you have, the better quality you have, the better. All right? So let's switch back here. Hopefully I can see the questions and so forth and address them and go from there too. So let's see if I can do that. And good. All right. So back here now as well. All right. So some of the questions here. By the way, in support, can you still hear me okay? Because see, what's also with this software is kind of interesting is when the support guys are logged in, other than the chat room, it kind of splits the screen and shows them as well, even though they're not on. So that's why they're not logged in as administrators, but they're logged into the control panel as well too. So if you guys on support hear me, let me know that all is good as well also, okay? Okay, great. So some of the questions are, all right, Larry, which are some of the most important tips? The most important tips are make sure that you get your products up there as fast as possible. Make sure that they're competitively priced. Make sure that you have really, really good photos. Make sure that your name, right, of your user account is in alignment with what you're selling. So for example, I tell the story all the time how I used to be, I don't know, Hockey Guy 123 or something like that. And I would be selling kitchen stuff. Well, Hockey Guy 123, that name doesn't align with kitchen stuff, right? So you can turn around and you can change your name in eBay. It doesn't cost anything extra and it will happen right away. And make it an alignment. And you might say, well, how do I know what to change my name to? Well, you can change it to something broader, general, if you don't know right now. So you can say, wholesalers are us 123 or whatever the case may be, right? That rhymes, doesn't it? So change it to make sense of what you're doing. Put in your shipping details correctly. Put in your return policy clearly. Make it look really cool and professional. Use templates, software like crazylister.com or supremelister.com. Those guys in support, you can put that in the chat as well. Supremelister.com or what else is there? Crazylister.com as well too. Okay. You also want to make sure that you take care of the customer also after the sale, that you're communicating with them effectively, just everything, your return policy, just give them and treat them the way you would want to be treated as well also, right? Make sure that you put the correct city that your stuff is in or you're located in as well. You may want to open up different accounts or different stores for different niches. So if you're selling fishing on one and you're selling kitchenware on another, you might want to open a different store up that caters to those type of buyers as well too. Make your branding, make your store look great. Use proper colors for your target audience, what they like and makes them feel good as well. Also, do things different than your competitors. Make sure that you're monitoring your pricing on a daily or a weekly basis. If you don't, make sure that your systems as well. Also, you know, in your description, use second-party description and so forth. Make it exciting. Use bold, italics. Use spaces. Use colors, different fonts. Anything that kind of makes it look more like, I don't want to say a comic book, but more like USA Today than the Wall Street Journal, right? As much as possible. Use software whenever possible that can show things like carousels, where it shows your other listings, or showing other photos and rotates and so forth. Anything that will give you the edge, that'll make you look professional, that'll make your listing look different. Capitalize on trends. We've talked about that in the past too. I see somebody ask about that. Just keep on listing. Just keep on listing. And if you're listing and you find that you've hit your limit, contact eBay, reach out to them and go, look, you know what? I'm, you know, reaching my limit. I've got good ratings. Raise it. You know, give me more. I need a lot more. I need double this. And most of the time they will as well. So I think that pretty much covered most of the questions. I touched on most of the topics during the webinar, and I touched upon some right now too, so that's great. And yes, it will work. So we're getting some questions here about, does this pertain to Germany, for example? Yes, this is pretty much cross all countries, right? So your country might have something a little bit different, but always go to the platform that you're selling on, in this case, eBay, and ask them, hey, can I do this in Germany? You know, is this applicable in Germany? Does this make sense, or do you have that here? There might be some subtle nuances that'll be different, but for the most part, it's the same. There might be some cultural differences with your buyers, but for the most part, people are people, right? And the interesting thing is that the more we're different, the more we're same, right? So there are some things that you can do that basically appeals to everybody across the board. Now, you can replicate this and sell in other countries as well, to start in your own country or the country that's closest to you as well. Learn on that and grow on more international platforms as you go as well. So I hope you've enjoyed that. Hopefully it's been really helpful to you. Make sure that you come to our boot camps whenever they are upcoming as well. At the time of this recording, you might be listening to a replay as well. And also, if you're not in our high-end coaching, get involved, you know, get an interview, see if there's a fit, makes sense for you, because I can tell you there's nothing like working one-on-one, getting feedback, getting ideas and so forth, besides listening to these as well. So, you know, reach out to our support department and support at CompleteMarketingSystems.biz, support at CompleteMarketingSystems.biz. They'll give you all the updates on all the high-end training that we have as well. And send us some testimonials once in a while when you've encountered something that works really well, really great, that you like. And that way we can share that with other people and make you a rock star as well. So have a great day, have a great evening, afternoon, or morning, whenever you're listening to this. See you on the next one. Bye now.